Welcome back here to 101 Sports. I'm Javik Blake, and observing the social distancing guidelines here at Elon University, we are joined by a panel of insiders from around campus. From down the hall is Will Carroll, and across campus is Colby Cook in the Danley Apartments. We're talking to baseball here to start off the show. First off, guys, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So we'll start off with the LCS and what has been hotly contested. The Rays and Astros has been a great series, even though the Rays won the first three games and are currently on the brink of advancing to their first World Series since 2008. And the Braves and the Dodgers series was billed as a big pitching matchup, and it hasn't been that so far. Will, we'll start with you. What has been your biggest takeaway so far of the first 5+ days of the LCS?
I think it's got to be the Dodgers' offense is nothing to mess with. I mean, we saw it in the regular season. They averaged almost 2 home runs a game, but they came to play in the NLCS. Just got to hope their pitching can step up.
Colby, what do you got?
I'm going to say conversely, I think the Dodgers did explode in Game 3, and, we kind of saw that coming. But in Games 1 and 2, I'd say the Braves kind of kept them at bay a little bit. They, were not putting up the runs, and Max Fried and Ian Anderson were absolutely spectacular.
And we talk about Max Fried and Ian Anderson. Both of them have been so good this year for the Braves. But the biggest question marks are who is going to start games in the 3, 4, and 5 spot in the rotation. Colby, is there anyone in the Braves pen that we could see step up to take on one of those roles? Because as we saw in Game 3, it could end really poorly for the Braves if they got to trot out anyone else other than Fried and Anderson the rest of the way.
So, watching the Braves as much as I do, I've got a pretty extensive knowledge of their roster, but I can tell you from experience right now, the Braves simply do not have the depth. I thought they were going to start Huascar Ynoa possibly in Game 5, but he threw 93 pitches in the blowout the Dodgers, so he is likely off the table. Bryce Wilson is on the bump for Game 4, and I don't know. I mean, I think the Braves can get it done. They have one of the deepest bullpens in all of baseball. The question is the young arm that starts the game for the Braves, can they go the distance?
Well, what about you?
I mean, I think you got to trust Kyle Wright. I mean, we saw it against the Cubs. He threw 6 innings, only allowed 3 hits, I believe, and he pitched well, but you got to have faith in him. I mean, he started during the regular season. You got to trust him.
We're here talking all things MLB playoffs with Will Carroll and Colby Cook here on 101 Sports. And guys, another thing, we're going back to the ALCS here for a moment. The Rays pitching this year has been nothing short of unbelievable. The team has an ERA below 2.5, but that team batting average below 200. The pitching really keeping them afloat throughout the playoffs. Is there a recipe for besting the Rays pitching? And Will, we'll start with you. Is there a recipe?
I think you got to chip away, play small ball, just score 1 or 2 runs here and there, and just hope that, they mess up, maybe get an error. They haven't had any so far in the ALCS, but you hope they walk 1 or 2 guys and then hope one of your big hitters like Correa can drive them home, or you hope that Gurriel can heat up.
And we'll stick with you here for a moment. With the Rays in general, is there a path to the World Series in a World Series title with this pitching staff, despite the fact they've lacked offense really all postseason long?
I think so. I think it depends how well the Dodgers offense plays, assuming the Dodgers make the World Series. The Braves have Freddie Freeman and Marcell Ozuna, Travis d'Arnaud as well. They just have both NL teams have strong offenses, but I think if you can hold them in bay like they are currently doing with the Astros, I think it's possible. But I still think whoever comes out of the NL brings home the pennant.
And Colby, talking about the NL, it's really a wide open field on who could win that series, but with the Rays, you're matching up either against the Braves, who have a great offense, and the Dodgers, who have the deepest team in baseball in 2020. Is there a recipe for either of those teams to break down the Rays pitching on a consistent enough basis to win 4 out of 7 games?
So here's what I'm going to say about that, Javik. I think the Braves' offense is lethal, and personally, I think they can contend with just about any pitching staff in baseball. My only caveat here is for the Dodgers to potentially go against the Rays. The Dodgers, no question, I think, have a little bit more thump in the lineup than the Braves do, but they're back into the bullpen. Kenley Jansen, Blake Trine, and those guys, they have not had a question in the back of their bullpen for years, and this year they do, and that's where the Braves best them in that category. So I think, if the Dodgers advance, they're going to have trouble because the Rays, as Kevin Cash says, they've got a stable of guys that can throw 100, and a lot of them are from very unique arm angles. So you got to think about that. And the Braves, for the Braves' perspective, I think they can tangle with them in the bullpen spectrum. But again, the Braves' real caveat here, and the Braves' real hole is their starting pitching.
When you talk about the Rays bullpen, it seems like they're trotting out guys every single night of people that you've barely heard of, who they found in Jackson, Mississippi, playing for the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, of just random assortments of teams throughout minor league baseball that these guys are in. But looking ahead, the World Series will wrap up in about 10 days from now. Who do you have winning it all? And first, we'll start with you, Will.
I think, assuming if the Dodgers come out of the NL, I think it's got to be the Dodgers. Like you said, they're the deepest team in the league. And their bullpen, their starters, other than the back end of their bullpen, is nothing to mess with. And then they got Mookie Betts, Corey Seager, Justin Turner, Max Muncy, and of course, Cody Bellinger. So if they can have a consistent offense, I think they can bring it home.
I don't think you can get much better than that lineup in all of baseball, and something we haven't seen really the last couple of years, a lineup as dominant as the Dodgers have. Colby, who do you got winning it all?
So I've got the Braves and the Rays in the World Series, and as much as I want the Braves to win this, I think that the Rays are going to present a tough task. I think the series, if it was Braves and Rays, would go at least 6 games. So it's really tough for me to say, but I'm going to go with my hometown Atlanta Braves on this one. There might be a little bit of fan involved, but I think, again, no, we do not have the starting pitching depth, but they do have the off days instituted in this World Series that we've not seen all postseason long. So I think you can ride Fried, Anderson, and Wright.
And that sets them up real nicely for Fried and Anderson to pitch multiple games throughout the World Series. Guys, thank you so much. It would be an interesting World Series either way. We're going to get it. Guys, thanks so much. When we come back here on 101 Sports, we'll look ahead to the NBA offseason preview. That's all coming up